And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000. In fact, we're getting close to 300,000 thanks to you. So hit subscribe, watch, comment. Again, thank you to all of you who keep commenting. Keep them coming. It helps me to make these segments better. And most importantly, share with your friend, because the nonsense that's going on right now is out of control. Let's talk about yesterday. Another eventful day in the Russia-Ukraine saga. Now, the United Nations General Assembly, they held a vote on a resolution, I mean, you can't make this up, condemning Russia's war against Ukraine. It should be a no-brainer, right? I mean, in fact, the whole world should acknowledge that Russia is the aggressor. Well, nope, not today, my friends, because the United States voted against the resolution along with Israel and Russia. Let me show you how that vote played out. This is the tally: in favor 93, against 18, and 65 abstained. All right. You got to take a look at this. You're talking about Equatorial Guinea. You're talking about Central Africa, Belarus. I mean, these aren't shockers, but Israel and America, despicable. All righty. Now, it gets even worse from here, because Trump then on the same day, he met with President of France, Emmanuel Macron, who wasn't afraid to speak his mind. Unlike Bibi Netanyahu, he was not afraid to speak his mind. And Trump was asked, why? Mr. President, just tell us why the United States voted against Ukraine. Play the clip.
Can you explain the rationale, sir, in the U.S.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Can you explain the rationale in having the U.S. vote against the UN resolutions that Ukraine proposed and also the U.S. proposed?
I would rather not explain it now, but it's sort of self-evident, I think.
Mr. President,
I would rather not explain it because he didn't have an answer that was acceptable. I mean, later on, Caitlin Collins on her show, this is what John Bolton responded to when he was asked about the impact of this vote. Play the clip.
I think we are now close to as close to Russia as an ally we've ever been in a hostile environment. It's a huge embarrassment, but I think most significant of all is that vote in the UN today was a clear marker. We are on the path out of NATO. Trump has already done enormous damage to the NATO alliance. Almost every time he talks about Ukraine, he does more. But that vote, with all of our allies on one side supporting Ukraine and condemning Russia's unprovoked aggression against Ukraine, with us on the side of Russia and North Korea and countries like that, that shows the NATO alliance is badly split already. And it's at this point, you take too many more steps like that, the actual withdrawal is just a formality.
Just imagine Israel, really? How about Russia, of course, and the United States backing up this trio? I just truly don't understand. And I want to show you a clip of Volodymyr Zelensky talking about his relationship with Trump. Play the clip.
the president?
My relationship with President Trump? It never was in such best way.
I mean, this isn't funny. I mean, it's really this, none of this is funny. If you go and you look at the votes for, votes against, and the abstention, it's one of the first times I actually agree with John Bolton on anything, that this is exactly what Trump wants. He wants to pull us out of NATO, but I can't believe, I'm disgusted with the manner to which Israel has now joined into Trump's insanity and not even calling out Russia for this unprovoked event. Now, during that meeting, the one I was referring to before with President Emmanuel Macron, Macron said that Russia was the aggressor. Okay, we all know that to be accurate. So what's the problem? Watch this. Play the clip.
One different than the other. If you can take the proceeds from it, how can you not take
Because
the
it's very different. You keep the assets, you take the proceeds because they are paralyzed in a certain way. You take the proceeds during the wartime, but you keep the assets, and it's part of the negotiation at the end of the war. Because, I mean, this war costed all of us a lot of money. And this is the responsibility of Russia, because the aggressor is Russia.
Should the U.S. be compensated?
So at the end of the day, this frozen asset should be part of the negotiation, all in all.
Will France support the U.S. being compensated?
I support the idea to have Ukraine first being compensated because they are the one to have lose a lot of their fellow citizens and being destroyed by these attacks. Second, all of those who paid for could be compensated, but not by Ukraine, by Russia, because they were the one to aggress.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No.
Okay, we're going to get into that in a second, but think about what President Macron is actually saying here. Being that Russia is the aggressor, Russia also has a shit ton of oil and other natural resources. Let them pay. And let's start with you. It's all part of a negotiation. You see, Trump doesn't understand the concept of negotiation. A negotiation is him telling you what he wants you to do and you acceding to it. That's not a negotiation. That is an order. That is a task. That is a demand. Now, I want to also say that Macron also, unlike Bibi Netanyahu, who's feckless, pushed back when Trump tried to claim that the EU was loaning Ukraine money. We keep hearing this narrative from Trump and from his acolytes and his supporters again and again and again, that they are not giving Ukraine money, they are loaning money, that only America is stupid, that thanks to Joe Biden and previous administrations that we just give the money and we don't take it back. This clearly is not accurate, at least based upon what Macron is saying. Play the clip.
They were the one to aggress.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear. We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super. It will be loaned at the end of the day and Russia will have paid for that.
If you believe that, it's okay with me.
Mr. President.
But they get their money back, we don't, and now we do. But, you know, that's only fair.
Mr. President.
Yeah, it's just, again, Trump doesn't want to hear anything. He doesn't want to hear what the facts are. What Macron is saying, Russia, when they pay Ukraine back, because they are the aggressor in this, that they started this unprovoked war, that as part of the negotiation, monies that go back to Ukraine, some of it 60% or so, has to go back to France. Okay, that was part of the negotiation. But that doesn't mean that it's a loan. It's not carrying interest that has to be paid back if they don't get the money from Russia. What Trump should have said is good luck getting money from Putin. You have a better chance of getting a nuclear missile sent into Kiev than you do of getting $1. That's what he should have said. But again, unprepared. Now, a reporter then asked Trump if he would go so far as to call Putin a dictator. Would you call your pal, your buddy, your ally now in this war, would you call him a dictator? Play the clip.
Customer, I will tell you that. You remember? That wasn't exactly what we agreed to.
Mr. President, to call Zelensky a dictator, would you use the same words regarding Putin?
I don't use those words lightly. I think that we're going to see how it all works out. Let's see what happens. I think we have a chance of a really good settlement between various countries. And, you're talking about Europe, and you're talking about Ukraine as part of that whole situation. The other side has a lot of support also. So let's see how it all works out.
Doesn't it seem awfully reminiscent of Charlottesville? There are good people on both sides. In this specific case, look, I know plenty of Russians. people who actually live in Moscow and live in Russia, and they happen to be very fine people. We're just talking about Vladimir Putin and this improper, this nonsensical war so that Putin can try to rebuild the former Soviet Union. And why Trump will not call him a dictator, I don't know. They also asked Trump if the United States will help Ukraine build. Trump's answer, inflated by almost double. Facts matter. Facts matter. Inflated by almost double. Play the clip.
Well, I guess it's a little strange question because you ask whether or not we're going to, on behalf of the United States, contribute to Ukraine. I mean, we're in there for about $350 billion. I think that's a pretty big contribution.
That's actually not accurate. It's slightly under 200 billion, which again, I don't want to minimize the amount. And I understand what Trump's message is. It's not our war. Well, technically it is. It's a war for democracy. But I understand there should be some form of a payback. How Ukraine could ever pay it back with their GDP as low as it is, no idea. How could they ever pay it back now that it's destroyed? No idea. But I like Macron's idea on taking natural resources or taking money from Russia for this unprovoked war. I just think that's the way to go. Now, last, Trump was asked if Ukraine can get back the territories that they lost. Play the clip.
Territory is back. Can they take it back? What they lost in the past years?
That's not an easy thing to do, is it? Right? It's not an easy, just asking whether or not you can take back the land that they lost. And I say that, yeah, perhaps some of it, yeah, I hope so. But that's not an easy thing to do.
But not
Macron on the frozen
It's going to be something we're talking about.
Will you convince Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. Go back to, the borders and so on and just call it a day. But then again, that's something that Russia would have to agree to. And as we all know, Trump is, for whatever the reason may be, it's just appeasing to Russia, to Vladimir Putin, and all of their whims. Not sure why. We'll ultimately find out, and we'll see how this thing plays itself out. In the meantime, Ukraine is fighting for its survival. It's fighting for its democratic survival against a much more significant force. And it's a force that, without the assistance of the United States, without the assistance of the EU, which is not as clearly as big as or as important as the US, I just don't see Ukraine being able to sustain this war. And it's a shame. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.